Hi there, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life, and today I am talking about something very topical at the moment, and I guess trendy and growing, and that's the vegan diet. So, Veganuary actually launched back in 2014, and since then and more recently, it's been a massive uptake in adopting a vegan diet, especially amongst the younger generation. Many more people are avoiding animal foods in their diets and really focusing on plant foods. So, whether the reasons are ethical, environmental, or health related, absolutely eating more plant based foods is a no brainer in my book. But I do worry that many vegans don't have all the information they need to make sure they're getting the nutrients they absolutely need to keep them healthy. So if you are eating a vegan or a plant based diet, here are my top tips to make it as healthy as possible. Firstly, you want to really be trying to avoid the ultra processed foods. I know that sounds obvious, but the food industry has jumped on the vegan bandwagon and is busy producing tons and tons of vegan friendly processed foods laden with chemicals, additives, vegetable oils, salt and sugar. So we just want to be watching out for that, reading the labels and watching out for the kind of fake stuff. Some of the fake stuff is okay, but there's a lot of rubbish out there. The fake meats, cheeses and kind of healthy veggie crisps and snacks that are very much cooked in vegetable oils, which is really what we want to avoid. The second tip is not to overload the carbs. So when you're going without animal foods, it can be really easy to replace them with lots of carbs. Healthy carbs are great, but it's not always possible to crowd your plate with all the healthy stuff. So what the refined carbs and the quick releasing carbs can do, we know, is pushing up your insulin, and that can contribute to health problems, fat storing, low energy, mood swings, and more estrogen, which we don't want if you're in that phase of life when you've got enough estrogen. And I see a lot of people, especially the younger generation, really surviving on chips and bread a lot. Because they may be vegan, but that's certainly not what we want to be doing. So we want to be focusing on the good carbs like the fruit and veg, the brown rice, the quinoa, the buckwheat, whole grains, the legumes, all of that stuff, right? Thirdly, we need to be just wary about the soy. Soy is often the go-to alternative source of protein in a vegan diet, and absolutely I do recommend it for its phytoestrogens when you're going through menopause. However, you need to avoid the genetically modified or the heavily processed forms of soy, often used for these kind of vegan friendly foods. So we want to be going for the unsweetened and unprocessed soy as much as possible. And that includes things like miso and tempeh and organic tofu and organic soy milk, yogurts, edamame beans, that kind of stuff. But we also want to be varying the proteins as well with other sources of protein like quinoa, buckwheat, chickpeas, beans and lentils. You don't want to be really eating too much of the soy-based proteins. And the next thing we really want to be wary of is the nutrients. So we want to be we have to supplement on a vegan diet. There's no getting away from it. You're not going to get all the nutrients you need from plant-based foods alone. The most nutrients, the ones at risk, are vitamin A. Now there's two forms of vitamin A. There's retinol from animal foods, and then there's beta carotene from plant foods. When you eat a plant food with beta carotene in, it needs to be converted in the body into retinol to actually do its job. That's the active form. And this conversion can be very poor in a lot of people. In fact, some people can't do it at all. So you may well need to supplement the retinol form of vitamin A. The next one is B12. Obviously, we know about B12 only comes from animal foods, apart from some plant-based foods like Marmite, nutritional yeast, and it's often in fortified cereals and fortified plant-based milks sometimes. However, this is really not likely to give you enough vitamin B12, which is essential for your brain, for your energy, for your mood, all kinds of things, detoxification. So your whole nervous system. I won't go on, but B12 is essential. So you really want to make sure you've got enough. So absolutely you need to supplement if you're not eating any animal foods. Vitamin D is the next one. Now, of course, we know vitamin D comes from the sun. So we are lacking anyway in the winter. So whether you're vegan or not, you need to be supplementing during the winter. If you're living in the UK or in the Northern Hemisphere and you're not exposed to sunshine during like the 7 or 8 months that we're going through, especially this week. But there are small sources of vitamin D from animal D3, which is the one the body uses from animal foods. So again, you can get small amounts. It's still not enough, but everybody needs vitamin D, whether you're vegan or not. The next one is iodine. Crucial for your thyroid, but lots of other functions in the body. The only plant source of iodine is seaweed, which is probably unlikely to be in your average diet. And it can also be problematic because you can actually, we don't know how much iodine is in the seaweed, so you can actually get a bit too much. So it's much actually safer to supplement iodine in a multi or something. The next one is iron. Now, we know that plant-based iron is much harder for the body to absorb than animal-based iron. It's a different form. Vegetarians actually need to consume almost twice as much iron than omnivores, because plant-based sources of iron are non-heme. Even more for vegans, because that study was done on vegetarians. So even more for vegans, and especially if you're menstruating. So you may well need to supplement iron depending on how well your body absorbs plant-based iron. The next one is omega-3 essential fats. Now, EPA and DHA are the forms of omega-3 that the body needs. Plant sources of omega-3 are not those two forms. They're actually ALA, and that needs converting into EPA and DHA. Conversion rates tend to be poor, particularly to DHA, and that is the fat that the brain needs to stay healthy. So again, this is one that you may want to be supplementing if you're on a vegan diet, because it's very hard for the body to get enough of that. Protein is the classic, isn't it? You can get protein from many plant foods, but different sources contain different amino acid combinations. So you need a variety of sources to get your complete protein source. Now, if that's tricky, then you really want to concentrate on the plant foods that include all 9 of your essential amino acids that we can't make ourselves. So we need these 9 essential amino acids, and the plant foods that include those are soybeans, quinoa, and buckwheat. So if you've got those in your diet, you're getting all of that source of protein. Otherwise, you want to be mixing up your sources of protein so you get all the variety of all those amino acids. And then finally, zinc. A study was done that showed that vegans are more likely to be deficient in zinc. It's a vital mineral for your immune system, your digestion, your hormones, and a whole lot more. Plant foods that are rich in zinc, like legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. These also tend to be the foods that are high in phytic acid, so that can impair your actual absorption of zinc. So again, it's something that you absolutely need to be including in your multi or in your supplement regime. Do check out my collection over at Approved Vitamins for good supplement brands to consider. So I would be looking at maybe the Better You Vegan Health Spray. So that gives you some B12, some vitamin D, iron and iodine, or a multivitamin which has got all your zinc and all your minerals as well. An EPA DHA based fish oil, good brand, and maybe some others as well. So go and have a look at those and see what might suit you. What I would just also like to say is don't follow the NHS Eat Well advice. Their advice for a healthy vegan diet is to base your meals on potatoes, bread, rice, pasta, or any other starchy carbohydrates. All I can say about that is no wonder we have a diabetes and obesity epidemic, because that's the right way to go. So don't do that. I've got on my blog on this, I've got a food for health vegan guide. It is brilliant. There's a clickable link so that you can download it. It's a plate, all the food groups that you can that you need kind of really to stay healthy. And lastly, if you don't feel well or your best on a vegan diet, please consider going back onto animal foods to see how you feel. I've had many clients who've tried it but just felt worse on it, and others feel better. I mean, it really is, there's no one size fits all vegan diets. You can thrive on them and other people don't feel so good. If you don't feel so good on it, then it's often a sign that your body needs more than a vegan diet can offer. So supplement or consider changing your foods. Like I said, I'm all for choice, but I am absolutely for informed choice and not at the expense of your health. So I hope that was helpful. Do let me know if you need any help with your diet or your hormones or your health in general, and I'll see you next time. Take care.